Welcome to Democracy Roundtable. I'm Claire, and it's Monday, April 13th, 2026. We have a packed show today, delving into the foundational challenges facing American democracy, from the integrity of our elections to the very fabric of our social contract. We're going to explore the escalating tensions on the global stage, the internal pressures on the federal government, and some surprising shifts in international politics that have profound implications right here at home. Kai, it feels like we're constantly juggling a dozen critical stories, doesn't it?
Absolutely, Claire. It's a testament to how interconnected these issues truly are. We're seeing deep currents of change and conflict, both domestically and internationally. The stakes feel incredibly high, and the conversations we're having today about everything from state election laws to the war in Iran really underscore that.
Indeed. Let's start right here at home with something that directly impacts how our democracy functions. Election laws. We're seeing states diverge dramatically, some expanding access, others implementing stricter voting requirements. This is happening while the federal Save America Act remains stalled in the 119th Congress. Democratic-led states are actively trying to Trump-proof their elections, while Republican-led states are pushing measures they say prevent voter fraud. It's a battle for the very rules of the game. Kai, what's your initial reaction to this widening chasm?
It's deeply concerning, Claire. This isn't just about administrative differences. It's about fundamentally different philosophies of who gets to vote and how easy it should be. When you combine this with the news that economic inequality in the U.S. has reached a 30-year high, it paints a grim picture. We know that economic disparity directly impacts political participation. If people are struggling to make ends meet, or if they feel their vote doesn't matter because the system is rigged against them, it erodes the very foundation of our democracy. The concentration of wealth isn't just an economic problem. It's a democratic one.
That's a crucial point, Kai, and it feeds directly into a broader narrative we've been following. A recent analysis suggests a systematic dismantling of our federal government and institutions during President Trump's second term. Budget cuts, prioritizing specific agendas, actions benefiting select interests, it all contributes to an undermining of the very structures meant to serve the public. Ryan, you've been tracking investigations and accountability. How do these domestic policy battles and the reports of federal undermining intersect with the more overt political tensions we're seeing?
Claire, Kai, it's all part of the same strategy. When you undermine the mechanisms of government, whether it's by weakening voting access at the state level or by defunding federal agencies, you're making it harder for the system to respond to the needs of its citizens. This creates a vacuum, and often, that vacuum is filled by executive power or by special interests. We've seen former CIA Director John Brennan even suggest the 25th Amendment was intended for President Trump, citing concerns about his fitness for office amidst escalating tensions with Iran. This isn't just partisan rhetoric, it's a deep-seated concern about the stability and functionality of our government, especially when you have figures like Brennan making such direct comments.
And the irony, Ryan, is that this talk of the 25th Amendment comes while the president is actively engaging in highly controversial foreign policy, and even picking fights with global religious leaders. I'm thinking of President Trump's public criticism of Pope Leo XIV, calling him weak on crime and terrible for foreign policy, over the pontiff's opposition to the war in Iran and U.S. immigration policies. It's an extraordinary public spat.
It truly is. To have a sitting U.S. president attack the head of the Catholic Church so directly is unprecedented, especially over matters of war and immigration, which the Pope frames as rooted in the gospel. Maya, from your perspective on international affairs, how is this playing globally, and what does it signal about the administration's approach to diplomacy and alliances?
Claire, it's creating immense friction and confusion on the global stage. The Vatican is a significant diplomatic player, and to openly antagonize Pope Leo XIV sends a message of disdain for multilateralism and traditional alliances. It suggests an administration willing to alienate even moral authorities to push its agenda. This is happening concurrently, with the U.S. initiating a blockade of Iranian ports, including parts of the Strait of Hormuz, after peace talks failed. This move has already led to rising oil prices and international condemnation. The UK has stated it won't support the blockade. China is urging restraint, and Australian Prime Minister Albanese is calling for negotiations to resume. It's escalating quickly, and the president's public spats only make an already volatile situation even more unpredictable.
And if I can jump in, Maya, the Pope's criticism of U.S. immigration policies also connects back to domestic issues. We're seeing intensifying protests against ICE detention centers across the U.S. amid legal and ethical concerns. The public scrutiny of immigration enforcement under the Trump administration is at a fever pitch. When the Pope speaks out, it adds a moral weight to the legal and humanitarian arguments against some of these policies. And then, there's the recent news of the Department of Homeland Security investigating Representative Eric Swalwell over an alleged immigration violation regarding his nanny, based on a complaint from a known conspiracy theorist. It feels like the administration is weaponizing immigration policy not just at the border, but even against political opponents.
Elena, that's exactly right. The DHS investigation into Swalwell, based on a complaint from someone like Joel Gilbert, who's made a career out of peddling conspiracy theories, really highlights how accountability mechanisms can be twisted. It's not about legitimate concerns. It's about political harassment, using federal agencies to target perceived enemies. This is another example of that systematic undermining Claire mentioned earlier, eroding public trust in institutions like DHS.
It's all part of a pattern, isn't it? The politicization of everything. Even the war in Iran, as Maya mentioned, has deepened partisan divides here at home. Republicans are urging escalation, while Democrats are cautioning against it. And we even saw Republican Senator Ron Johnson contradict President Trump's claim that the U.S. has won the war, saying we haven't completely defanged the Iranian regime. It shows there are cracks even within the Republican Party on this front.
Those internal divisions are significant, Kai. They speak to the immense pressure points within the administration's foreign policy. But let's shift gears slightly and look at an international story that might offer a glimmer of hope for democratic movements. Maya, the news out of Hungary about Viktor Orban's election loss is quite significant, isn't it? His 16-year rule has ended, with Peter Magyar now elected prime minister. How is that defeat reverberating, particularly in the U.S. political landscape?
It's a huge story, Claire, and it definitely resonates here. Orban was a key figure in the global right-wing populist movement, often seen as an ideological ally of President Trump. His defeat, after 16 years, by the opposition party, TISA, led by Peter Magyar, is a significant blow to the authoritarian tendencies we've seen gaining ground worldwide. Democrats in the U.S. are celebrating, viewing it as a rejection of autocracy. For many, it's a sign that voters are indeed rejecting these tendencies, even in countries where they seemed deeply entrenched. It raises questions about the viability of Orban's policies, and, by extension, the influence of leaders like President Trump on foreign elections and the global populist trend.
That's a really important observation, Maya. It suggests that while the challenges to democracy are immense, and we see them clearly in our own country, there's still a fight being waged and won by democratic forces in other parts of the world. Orban's loss could be a powerful counter-narrative, showing that even long-entrenched populist leaders can be ousted through democratic processes.
It certainly offers a moment for reflection on the global landscape of democracy. From the internal battles over election integrity and economic equality here in the U.S., to the alarming escalation of tensions with Iran and the unprecedented public conflicts involving the Pope, our institutions are under immense strain. But then, we see a country like Hungary pushing back against an entrenched populist leader. It reminds us that the struggle for democracy is global and ongoing.
Absolutely, Claire. It's a reminder that democracy is not a given. It's something that has to be actively defended and nurtured, both at home and abroad every single day. The decisions made in state houses, in the White House, and in international capitals all have a profound impact on the future of self-governance. It's a lot to take in, but it's why these conversations are so vital.
Precisely. Thank you, Kai, Maya, Elena, and Ryan, for your incredible insights today. And thank you to our listeners for joining us on Democracy Roundtable. We'll be back next week to continue these crucial discussions. Until then, stay informed and stay engaged.